Here she comes now. Great to have you on, Angie. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So it is your first year at CSUN this year. What was your immediate, when you got to school, what was your mindset heading into this off season?
We got to get to work. There's a lot to be done, but just excited and thrilled for the opportunity just to step into leadership. I know historically there's been some great things done here. There's been championships, but really eager just to meet the team, meet administrators, external staff, and figuring out collectively how do we come together on one page so that we can build something unique here in the Valley.
Angie, it's really great to see you. Loved our conversation the other day, especially in the area of staff and player recruitment, where, yes, it is important to recruit skill. Yes, it is important to recruit talent. But for you, you mentioned something that stuck with me after we hung up the phone, and that was all about the integrity of the people that you want to be around your program. Now, you get a chance to build this program and write this story because it's yours now. Talk about where integrity and sort of selflessness is going to fit into your program.
Absolutely. That's at the core. So it was really important to me to understand who I am and what type of individuals I want around. So recruiting people and building staff with people who had really good character. Integrity was at the top of that. Outside of that, figuring out who are those individuals that are going to be committed to work, because that's important for me, like being blue collar, doing the work, investing the time, seeing the small gains. And then who is going to be selfless in the process. The unique thing about basketball is that it is a team sport. So once we're able to come together, we have good character values, we're committed to doing the work, and we're selfless in the process, the results will take care of itself. So it's all those different tangible things that really set the tone, build foundation, help to support the culture of the team and what we're trying to do. And ultimately, like, my goal is to seek wins and making sure that our kids are developing on and off the floor, making sure that my staff is developing as people as well, and bringing some championships at some point to CSUN.
And you were able to really build this program the way you wanted it. And I think that's partially because we're in the era of the transfer portal, right? Where you're able to build your team through that. You got some D2 kids, some JUCO kids. You were able to really build it. What's it like, taking a program over in the era of the portal, right? Where you maybe have more freedom in that way, but it's also a little bit harder maybe to build a team.
For sure. Well, the reality was I got hired a little bit late. So in terms of seeking some of the players who were available early on, they just weren't available when I took the job. So staying true to those core areas that I mentioned earlier was really important. And then it was finding skill sets, figuring out the talent that matched up with the character component that's going to help me to build a strong foundation, and making sure that those athletes fit within the system and style of play. So it was a lot of work, just going through the process, figuring out which kids I had some initial recruiting connection with, relationship, rapport, but being diligent in the process and making sure that I wasn't wavering on my values.
Coach, when I look at what this conference has and the collective returning talent and the coaches that I know and their style of play, I don't think it's going to be possible to win a lot of games unless you can play fast and you got to take efficient shots, because defense is getting better. The margin of error, and Talia and I talked about this off the top of that the preseason, is that the margin of error on these teams is going to be pretty slim. So tell us where you fit in with that this year.
Absolutely. There's some great coaches in the conference. The conference collectively is much stronger than it's been. There's a lot of returning talent. There's a lot of new talent. But I do understand how small that margin of error is. It could be one or two possessions that really have the outcome of the game. So for me, it's the small gains. It's the journey, making sure that our players are bought into how we're doing things on offense and on defense. And can we be disciplined in that process and committed to doing it as a team? So it is going to be a team effort. It's not going to be one player that's going to supersede or outshine the next. It's, can we come together shoulder to shoulder, be committed to the process, understand the value of the work, so that at the end of the day, when we look back on this journey, we can say that we did the work, our results speak for itself, and we're going to enjoy the ride as it comes. But being true to the moment, being committed to the process is what's at the forefront of me.
Who's someone who's really impressed you this offseason since you got on campus, whether it's, in the way they carry themselves or the way they play that maybe not surprised you, but just impressed you?
I think we have a really good group. It's a new team. So collectively, I've just been really encouraged and excited for the opportunity to coach them. They come in with great energy, great effort. They're willing to learn. They want to get better. So I am impressed with the team as a group, but more specifically in terms of leadership. I think Erica Adams, who is a returning fifth year, has really stepped into that role, not only on the floor, but in the locker room, having a strong voice, commanding the locker room, understanding the perspective of the coaches. I think that's going to really help us moving forward. So I'm excited to see her growth component in leadership, as well as some of our other four-year grad transfers.
Coach, you come from a program at Cal Baptist that really just kind of tore it up in the WAC conference, and you were a very, very important piece of that coaching staff, along, of course, with Jared Olson. You guys won a lot of games, and I'm just wondering about any philosophies or takeaways that you had from a very successful career at Cal Baptist as an assistant, but now you're at the helm here. What do you think can work that worked for you at Cal Baptist in this league? Because you are so close to home with this league. You know this league. You played at UC Irvine. This is not foreign to you.
I think the number one thing is being true to myself, true to our culture, our identity as a team, and what we're trying to do. Make sure that we have laser focus. So what is the end result? What are we trying to get out of each year? But then understanding the process and the journey. I was really fortunate to learn from Coach Olson and be a part of building different teams, different rosters, different programs, and establishing success from Division II to the transition period of Division I to now they are currently now fully through the transition period. So it's all those small gains. It really is the journey. It is the process. But then being strategic in your recruiting, recruiting kids that are going to fit your identity and your culture. That's huge. And then making sure that we can be teachable. Are we correcting with good feedback, giving them opportunities to grow on and off the floor, whether that's through video, on the court demonstration, having one-on-ones, and building a strong relationship and rapport. We found that they went a little bit harder for us because they knew our intentionality, they knew our heart. So I'm excited for all those different things, but it is the process. There's no shortcuts, but we got to enjoy the little moments and take our small gains along the way.
I know you talked about it a little bit now, but in your first year as a head coach, what can we expect to see from you on the floor? What are kind of either the defensive things we can expect or on the offensive end? What's something that sticks out about the way that you coach and the way you're going to build this team?
Yeah, I think the number one thing is that it's going to be team ball. It's not going to be just one player dominating the game. You're going to have to defend all. We're going to have good ball movement. We're going to make sure that we're playing with pace. Defensively, we're going to mix it up a little bit, throwing it out at different angles, depending on who our opponents are. So it's going to be very scout-driven on the defensive side. But I'm just excited to put all these pieces together to really give our kids opportunities to connect, making sure that we're having high-efficient shots, but then making sure that everyone's getting good touches of the ball and understanding floor spacing, ball movement, all those different things is going to help us to have success in the floor. But like I said earlier, it is a small window, a margin of error that can really determine the outcome of the game, whether it's a win or a loss. So being disciplined in all those different areas, it's going to help us to ultimately, hopefully, have more success this year than what they've had in years past.
Coach, with the new team and the players that you've got coming back, but you're new to this program, keeping in mind that you're going to have to do a lot more coaching early on in your first couple years rather than having a seasoned team. What is your approach to balancing how much you really have to teach and coach basketball and also the time that you get to just let them run up and down and scrimmage and let them kind of absorb the X's and O's? Because those are two very different things that you've got to really get in a 2.5 hour practice.
Absolutely. There's definitely a balance of that. We've been doing both. Some days have been better than others. But the aha moments is when you see the connectivity or you see players in the court helping to correct. So then you can let them play a little bit more because now they're self-aware. But there's definitely a balance. I think we do a really good job of talking through when we need to, but then giving them opportunities to rep it out. We've been hitting the video pretty hard. So when we're doing some 5v5, 3v3, whatever those breakdowns look like, really giving them opportunities to see it, feel it, ask questions, understand our perspective. But giving them opportunities to do it again throughout the week so that there is some gain.
What's been your favorite moment with this group so far, whether it's on or off the court? What's been the moment where you've either had the most fun with them or learned so much about them? What's been your favorite moment?
Oh, wow. It's a great question. We've done a lot of different things. I think we did a ropes course, which was a team bonding activity a couple of weeks ago. There were a couple kids who were really afraid of heights. And I was just impressed with their ability and their courage, just to get up there, to try it, and to hear them come together and rally for the next person. You can do it. You can do it. That shows that there's a level of investment, right? Like they're being selfless, they're encouraging, there's positive affirmation. So to see them just, go over a hurdle, that small obstacle for some, but big for others, was really impressive to see and see how the team rallied together, and was very encouraging, and something that was not basketball related, but it is life related, right? So just excited to see that.
That is impressive. I mean, I got to tell you, I tried to do a ropes course last year. I tried to do it with my parents, and I made it through like the little bunny one, right? But I'm very afraid of heights, and I tried my best, but I could not make it past there. So I was watching my parents flying up in the sky from the ground.
No, I understand. I had my moment where I got up. I didn't realize I was as high as I was. There was some conversation with the instructor about, I wish he would have given me a little bit more direction, but we made it through.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. It was great having you on here, and we're really looking forward to see what you do with the team this season.
Sir, Coach, a massive turnaround last year, right? Went from 7 wins the year before you got there. Last year, 19 wins. That's 5th best in the nation with the plus 12 turnaround. Most wins in 16 years over at CSUN. You guys beat UCLA. You guys beat UC Santa Barbara in the first round of the Big West Championships. But this is a brand new team. You got 3 key returners. You got, 15 total newcomers or something like that. I believe it's like 7 or 8 Division I transfers. How do you build on last year's success, knowing that, this is a brand new squad?
Yeah, I think, that's going to be one of the challenges for all of us going into this new normal in college basketball. And so we're going to work really hard at it. But yeah, getting new guys into your program and acclimated into how we do things here at CSUN in a relatively short amount of time is going to have a lot to do with our success and a lot to do with everybody's success in college basketball now. So we hope we have a good plan and we're implementing it. And so I'll let you know here in about 3 weeks how it's going.
Sounds good.
Yeah, with these 7 transfers coming in, Andy, if I said to you, okay, who's the one guy we got to circle out of this group that's going to have a chance to make a major, and I'm sure a lot of these guys are going to make an impact, but is there one of these guys that you think is going to make a major impact and have a chance to be on an all-league team at the end of the year?
Yeah, I think 2 guys have that ability. PJ Fuller would be one from transfer from the University of Washington, and then Marcus Adams would be the other one, transfer from BYU. So those 2 guys are certainly our 2 most talented players, and things are going right, and they keep progressing in the way progressing. I think you're going to see a lot of really dynamic play out of both those 2 guys.
So I was looking at your stats from last year, and I remember I covered your first round game at the Big West Championships. And I remember one area of weakness that your team had last year was the 3-point shooting. I think you guys shot a little bit less than 31%. And I know you like to play that fast pace, up tempo style of play, high scoring. Do you foresee with all these newcomers and, doing it the CSUN way under you, that being improved? Or could you talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, we made that a very high priority in the recruiting and during this offseason. And we definitely went out and fixed that. We've got a lot of guys who can shoot the ball from the perimeter at a much better rate. Last year, we were kind of built more like a football team, trying to get that ball to 2 feet. And if we couldn't, we'd just keep trying again. And so I think this year we're going to be much more balanced. We're going to be able to score both at the rim and from behind the arc. And I think the ability for us to score in both of those ways is going to make us more dimensional and more dynamic, and I think a lot more harder to guard. So we addressed that issue. We brought in some guys who can really shoot it. PJ Fuller, Scotty Washington, Marcus Adams, 3 of those guys I think are going to be very good from behind the arc, and so hopefully that opens up those penetrating gaps for us to be even better at getting to the rim as well. So yeah, no, that was Richie, that was a major concern for all of us last year, but I think we fixed it.
Good.
All right, I did a little digging. On you, and I found out. I'm not going to say who gave me this info, but you know all the good hot spots in every city you go to, right? You know the good. So I ask you, where is the hot spot in Northridge? Give me the spot.
Oh, that's there's a place right down the street called Beer and Tacos. It's as you know, I'm sure whoever told you that I can find a good Mexican restaurant everywhere I go. But this place is incredible. So if you come up to the Valley, that's your spot.
I've been to Beer and Tacos before. I want you to know. It is a good spot. It's a great pregame meal before a game in the Matadors.
yeah, it is. It absolutely is. And there's a lot of great spots here in the Valley, as you know. But yeah, that information, Jeff, is accurate. I know every good Mexican restaurant in every city that we go, and that's part of the scouting report as we travel to different cities where we're going to spend our pregame meal.
Great. Hey, I was going to ask you, Keontae Jones. I think he's your main returner. I think he was about 11.5 points per game. Team high, I think 7 rebounds per game. Was dropping dimes, getting steals. I think he led your team in blocks. With all these newcomers coming, I mean, Keontae Jones is a guy that probably could have left in the portal. It seems to be the trend to do these days. But with him coming back, do we expect to see a bit of leadership from him, or does that go to somebody else who maybe came back or one of your newcomers?
No, that's very accurate, Richie. I mean, he's the guy. I mean, he turned down a lot of money to come back and be here at CSUN, and the value of having a guy who's been with you and understands what you want and understands where the success came from in the year prior. Having him on our team and his voice out there, it has been great, especially early. And so he is our team leader. We will go as he goes. He embodies a lot of the things that we're about from a defensive standpoint and rebounding standpoint. He's also very athletic, very good in transition. So Keontae Jones, he is rightfully on that list of preseason first team guys, and I expect a great year out of him. And the thing about Keontae, he will impact the game in absolutely every stat. He'll score, he'll defend, he'll rebound, he'll make plays for teammates. Like he impacts the game in every way. And so, having him on the floor for us is going to be huge. And then obviously his voice in the locker room is going to be important as well, because as you know, we built this program last year. Now we've got a whole set of new guys. So everybody's kind of wondering, like, hey, playing this way, playing fast, rebounding like we do, is this going to translate? Is this going to work? And so having a guy in your locker room that has that experience, has seen it work, and can articulate that back to our team is a huge asset for us. And so we're going to rely heavily on his leadership moving forward.
So I was going to ask you for your favorite story working for Bob Burton, but I don't know if we can go there. So I think we'll avoid that one. But
let's all keep our jobs. Let's all keep our jobs through this interview, and let's not go there. That'd be good for everybody.
He was one of a kind. He was one of a kind, and it's funny when you left. You and I knew each other well back when you were Division I assistant. You go to Cal State's Bernardino, and I'm like, all right, like I forgot about you a little bit. I'm not going to lie, I did. I forgot about you, and then you come back, you get this job, you get an opportunity to be a head coach in the D1 ranks in a league that you know very well. What was the biggest thing that you learned being able to kind of run your own program after all those years?
Well, I think the biggest thing I learned is having a successful program is about the people that you put in the program. And from my staff to the players, I think it's very important to make sure that the people that you surround yourself with are about all the things that you're about. And so we try to make sure that the people we bring into this program have integrity and love basketball. And I think that's kind of a big piece of what we've been doing, a big piece of what I learned at San Bernardino and at the University of Texas of the Permian Basin, which is where I was at prior to that. And that was really helpful for me, to be able to go out on my own and learn how to run a program and do it. Those are two different things at times. And I was very fortunate, as you said, to learn under a great mentor like Bob Burton. But then those 10 years that I was able to do it at the Division II level and actually implement those things, I learned just a ton of lessons there, and hopefully have brought those to Northridge, and that's why we've kind of started down the path of success and looking forward to continuing it.
Want to talk about the D2 thing. I was in D2 most of my coaching career as well. It drives me crazy. There's a stigma that the higher level you're at, the better coach that you are. But you and I both know there's high school coaches out there better than any coaches you see on television. Coaches are coaches. You came from Division II. You kind of set a new trend. This is the second Big West coaching hire in a row, as Cal Poly hired Mike DeGeorge, another Division II guy. You saw Eric Olin's success the last few years when at UC San Diego as they've transitioned from D2 to D1, finished second place in the Big West regular season standings last year. Can you just talk on that a little bit? I think it's fantastic that the Big West has given guys that were D2 coaches opportunities. And here you are. Last year you had, the best record of any coach at CSUN in the last three coaches they've had in the last 16 years. So is there anything you can add to that or speak on it? Because it always intrigues me. And I love when coaches, athletic directors take chances on coaches from lower levels.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and I hope we are. I hope we're paving the way for more Division II guys to get their opportunity at this level. Because as you said, there are a really good amount of very qualified and really good coaches at that level. This profession is crazy. You just you never know when you're going to get your opportunity. So many things have to fall in line. The timing has to be perfect for you to get an opportunity like this. And sometimes that just doesn't happen for really good coaches who have the ability to run a very successful Division I program. And so I recognize that. Like, I am very fortunate, incredibly lucky to have had the success that I had at the right time to where now I'm sitting here as a Division I head coach at Cal State Northridge. And I hope that I can continue to have success and show other athletic directors just how good coaches at that Division II level are. Because you're absolutely right, Richie. I mean, you go into games at that level against coaches all across the country at the Division II level, and they're just as prepared. The things that they're running both offensively and defensively are just as hard to score against. The only difference is the arenas are a lot bigger, and the first of the month, when the first of the month comes, that check is a little bit, is a little bit.
No doubt about it. No doubt about it. Listen, Andy Newman, appreciate it, man. Thanks for joining us. Good luck on year 2 at CSUN, and we'll talk to you soon.